from below. From time and corrosion, the tubes of the rear circuit of the air conditioner suffer the most, up to loss of tightness. And for many, they are simply muffled. Replacement involves separating the body from the frame. By the way, body cushions flattened to the frame are a sign of a real mileage of more than 300 to 350,000 kilometers. This is important to know, because the readings of Toyota odometers are easily corrected. Gradually, the aluminum evaporator of the air conditioner also corrodes. Instead of the original, it is better to take a copper analog for a replacement. It will last longer and cost half as much. The Solumen bracket in the ignition lock can simply fall apart from old age. A new cylinder will have to be bought along with the keys. And the front panel of copies of the first years of production is capable of surprising with small cracks. With an electrician as such, there are generally a minimum of problems, and everything is easy to fix, apart from the wear and tear of the generator. The rear view camera and the power window control unit sometimes suffer from abundant bathing, and the air conditioning damper servos are not eternal. The 4-cylinder gasoline engine 2.7 of the 3RZ FE series endows heavy SUVs of the first years of production with the dynamics of an angry snail, but not bad in terms of reliability. And with a calm driving style, its cast iron block is able to withstand more than 400 to 450,000 kilometers after 200 to 250,000 kilometers. Manual valve adjustment and a new pump will be required. And after 250 to 300,000 kilometers, wear of the nozzles and stretching of the timing chain is possible. The 4-cylinder gasoline engine 2.7 of the 2TR FE series appeared in 2004 and is only slightly more powerful. It is made on the basis of a structurally previous cylinder block and with a new cylinder head with a VVT variable valve timing system on the intake, a plastic intake manifold, and a block throttle valve with electric drive. The need to adjust the valves disappeared. Hydraulic lifters appeared. The mileage is slightly lower, but also good, about 400,000 kilometers. The resource of the hinge points is approximately the same as that of the 3RZ FE. And the plastic tubes in the cooling system, which were unsuccessfully made at the beginning, flowing through 80 to 100,000 kilometers. And the forever wet crankshaft oil seal were modernized by 2008. The petrol V6 of the 1GR FE series is found on the vast majority of Toyota Land Cruiser Prado SUVs. The cylinder block is aluminum with liners and a resource approximately like that of a 2.73 RZ FE engine, more than 400,000 kilometers. The timing chain is just as durable. And valve clearances also need to be manually adjusted from time to time. And clean the throttle valve from deposits every 50 to 70,000 kilometers. The main thing is not to overheat. The engine is more afraid of thermal shocks than younger motors, and they pour out not only into a breakdown of the gasket, but also warpage of the head of the block, especially for SUVs of the first 2 years of production. And the motor is picky about the main consumable fluids. From poor quality lubrication, seizures in the cylinders will appear faster, and oxygen sensors will suffer earlier from scorched fuel. The 1KD FTV 3.0 4-cylinder turbo diesel with variable valve timing VVT on the intake is not the best choice. First of all, because of the CT16V supercharger. Its turbine part is quite decent and does not give cause for concern before 200 to 250,000 kilometers, but the geometry change system can fail after 100 to 150,000. Plastic gears wear out in the servo drive mechanism, and the entire assembly is assembled expensive. At the same mileage, nozzles can also go into consumption, while the high-pressure fuel pump endures up to 200 to 250,000 kilometers. In the timing drive, there is a belt with a replacement interval every 120 to 150,000 kilometers. Valve clearances are also set manually. And the EGR recirculation system valve has to be cleaned of deposits every 50 to 60,000 kilometers. With restyling in 2007, it only got worse. The 1KD FTV engine was modified to comply with Euro 4 requirements, including changing the pistons and combustion chamber. and after 150 to 200,000, cracks began to appear in the pistons, accompanied by knocking, unstable operation with loss of full power and smoky exhaust. They did not have time to finalize the motor before leaving the stage of the 120th Prado. The naturally aspirated 4-cylinder diesel 5LE rarely found on SUVs imported from abroad was frankly sluggish. And the structurally old turbocharged diesel 41KZ-TE is known for thermal cracks in the block head, which often occur after thermostat, pump, or viscous coupling failures. The Eisenwarner 340F343F 4-speed automatic transmission is old in its simplest design and slow, but exceptionally reliable. With a regular oil change every 40,000 kilometers, along with a filter, overcoming more than 500,000 kilometers is not a special feat for her. The Eisenwarner A750F 5-speed automatic transmission was the latest in its time, and since 2004 it has been available to all engines, except for the base 2.72 TR FE series. Piotr Stupka has already become aware of the wear of torque converter locks after off-road exploits. The oil also needs to be changed regularly, although less frequently, once every 80 to 100,000 kilometers. Nevertheless, even with this box, you can count on the now outstanding 400 to 450,000 kilometers after overcoming half of this run. The locking clutches and the torque converter gradually get tired. Solenoids are next. And with a fair amount of wear products in the oil, the body valve clogs and the accumulator piston suffers. Manual transmissions on the Prado are extremely rare, but they do occur. All without exception are exemplarily hardy. The 5-speed or 150F unit that was originally on dealer versions and the 6-speed or 161F that replaced it in 2004. As well as 5-speed gearboxes W56 and G52 for cars imported from the Middle and Far East. Even the clutch with a considerable mass of the car is able to hold out for a laudable 140 to 150,000 kilometers. A simplified part-time transmission with forced front axle engagement is also only found on Middle Eastern examples. In a full-time system with permanent all-wheel drive, the chain transfer case on the gear part will last no less than the gearbox. Unless it can get snotty from old age at the junction with the center differential lock drive module. And because of an elementary rubber ring, the transfer case will have to be removed and disassembled into parts. Yes, the actuator itself can go haywire after 200 to 250,000 kilometers, and the short-lived plastic from which the gears are made its way here. There are grease fittings on the joints of the drive shaft, and in the 21st century, the Toyota Land Cruiser Prado old-fashionedly requires regular injection. And it's better not to forget about it at every MOT. And if the crosses are changed separately, then when the splines wear out, you will need the entire expensive cardan assembly. Serviced cardan shafts run indefinitely. As sometimes, and SHRUS, if after 200,000 kilometers in time to replace their anthers cracked from old age. The simpler the suspension on the Prado, the less hassle it delivers. But in any case, it may not require attention for years. Even the bushings and stabilizer struts that are usually considered consumables, if you do not regularly conquer off-road, are able to stay up to 120 to 140,000 kilometers, and the ball joints are not too offensive to change along with the double wishbones of the front suspension. But, like the silent blocks of the rear axle rods, they usually need to be updated only after 200 to 220,000 kilometers. Shock absorbers serve about 200,000 kilometers, and even in the original are inexpensive. And it turns out to be so long that at the rear, due to dampness under the protective screen, sometimes the body has time to rust through and through. Adjustable optional shock absorbers of the TEMS system are worse only because they are twice as expensive. But at the front, usually before the dampers themselves, after 150 to 170,000 kilometers, the external rod drive module fails. And sometimes even earlier, if its body cracks. At the rear, the drive module is not external, but integrated. And it has its weak point right inside the insulation. The wiring rots and breaks at the bend. At the same time, the shock absorber remains in the stiffest possible setting. The steering mechanism fits the definition of durable perfectly. A relatively weak point is the lower cart end joint of the steering shaft when dirt gets in. It wears out after 130 to 150,000 kilometers. Knocks in the lower spline connection are a purely senile phenomenon.